everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I thought I would just get ready and just chat with y'all and let you guys know a little bit about me, just so you can get to know me a little better. So I thought I would just sit and get ready. But yeah, grab your makeup, grab a snack, let's just sit and talk and get ready. So without further ado, let's get on with the video. Okay, so I zoomed y'all in for the face makeup. And we're gonna start off with the eyes, just because that's just the order that I do my makeup. I always start off with my eyes first. I already have my eyebrows done. I just used the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer and fill them in with a powder. And I already have tape along my eyes. If y'all are wondering why I put tape along my eyes, just for my eye shape, I prefer the sharp edge that the tape gives. So yeah, I'm just gonna prime my eyelids with the concealer. I'm using the Maybelline Better Skin Concealer. If I skip over any products, I will leave them in the description box below, just in case I'm too busy talking. Or it could be the reverse. Sometimes I can't really focus and do my makeup and talk at the same time, so we'll see how this works. So I'm just gonna blend all that out. So yeah, so for starters, as you can tell by my YouTube name, my name is Heather. I am one of 3 siblings. I have 2 brothers, an older brother and a younger brother. And I have my 2 parents are still alive and breathing, thank the Lord. I'm married. I've been married to my husband for a little over 2 years now. We've been together for 3. We have 2 children. We have a girl and a boy. And they are just absolutely amazing. So I thought I would just sit and get ready. I'm literally getting ready for the evening, and just, you know, give you guys a little bit more info about me. And for this particular video, I thought I would, you know, kind of give a little bit background of myself and how I came to the Lord. It's not really gonna be a full-on testimony, because that's literally for another video. It's really to let y'all know how I was led to Christ. For this eye look, I'm gonna go in with the Morphe X Kathleen Lights palette. I absolutely love this palette. It is an oldie but a goodie. It's not really that old, but I don't really see anybody talking about it anymore. So yeah, I have no idea what I'm gonna do, so we're just gonna play around with some colors and chit chat for a little. So I'm just gonna take transition shade and just pop that into my crease. So I was raised Catholic. My parents raised me in a Catholic church, so I was raised knowing God and knowing about Jesus, and you know, I did my sacraments and I attended catechism classes every week for about, I want to say, maybe 8 years. It's not like I never knew God. You know, my parents always taught us that, you know, everything that we had, everything, you know, that we were given, the life that we live, like every day that we wake up, you know, that's a blessing from God. We were always taught that, and we were always taught that when something good happens to us, to thank God, and, you know, when bad things happen, to go to God and pray to Him. But as I got older, I believe I was around 15 years old, I started having more questions. I started having more questions because we were raised as Catholic, and, you know, there would be times that as I got older, you know, we weren't really going to church as frequently as we would when we were younger. And I would ask my parents why. Like, I would ask my parents questions and they didn't have answers to them, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. I see now that religion is more like a tradition, because it's what you're taught, you know. So not very many people, when you ask them, oh, why are you this or why are you that, not very many people can tell you why. You know, they're just doing it because that's what they were taught to do. And so I remember it was 15, I think I was about 15 years old, and we were going to get our ashes for Ash Wednesday, and I told my mom that I didn't want to, and I didn't want to be a hypocrite, and I didn't want to pretend to be something that I'm not. And you know, at that age, she couldn't really force me to do it, so okay, she respected my decision, and that was it. That was the day that I turned my back on God. And as the years passed, it got more and more harder for me to turn back to Him. And I literally did not step foot in a church for the longest. I could not step foot in a church. I felt like I was being a hypocrite. I felt so ashamed. I felt condemned, you know. I had condemned myself because of what I did, because I turned away from Him. You know, when He gave me this amazing life, these amazing parents, my siblings, you know, I had a really good childhood. I have beautiful memories, you know, and not very many people are blessed to have that. And God made sure that I did, and I turned my back on Him, and I felt so ashamed and, you know, not worthy to ever turn back to Him. And so that was it. I wouldn't even listen to people speak to me about the Lord. And there would be, you know, there was a few people over the course of 10 years, there was a few people that tried to talk to me about God, and I just shut them down because I didn't want to hear anything of it. I was so stubborn and so prideful, and, you know, oh no, I'm good, I believe in Him, it's fine, I'll be fine. And, you know, that's not the case. You can't just believe in Him and, you know, you're saved. No, that's not the case. So I remember I had hit a very low point in my life, probably what was the lowest point ever at that point in my life. Like I said, that'll be part of another video, but it was just a really low point in my life. I was going through a horrible breakup that just left me so depressed and so broken. And I wasn't broken for the man. I was broken because I was alone, and I didn't want to be alone. At that point in my life, I looked to drinking to try to numb the pain, and that would only work temporarily. I lost so much weight. My parents were literally about to commit me. I wasn't tending to my daughter the way that I should have. I remember one night in my room, I was really sad, and probably the saddest I had been the whole time of this whole depression. And I remember I was holding myself, like hugging myself to try and give myself comfort, and I was rocking myself back and forth and back and forth. And that was in that moment that I cried out to the Lord, and I told Him, I said, please God, I said, please take this pain away in my heart. Please take this emptiness away. I don't want to feel this anymore. I'll do anything. And in that moment, I had no idea what I was asking for. I had no idea what was about to begin, the work that was about to begin. Because when you're going through stuff in life and you know you need the Lord, and God is looking at you like, I'm right here, my arms are wide open, He is not a forcing God. He will not force Himself on you. You have to be willing. You have to have that willing heart. And in that moment, I was so vulnerable, and I was so open, and I was so raw, and I was willing, and I just said, please God, I will do anything. I started feeling a little better, you know. I started feeling a little lighter. I wasn't as depressed. It took a minute to put my hair up because it was just in my way and I could not take it. But yeah, so like I was saying, I remember feeling a little bit better, you know, as a couple days went on. And then I was scrolling through my Facebook, and I saw that a friend of mine had posted a job ad on her Facebook, and she said, oh, anybody interested, seeking a cashier, you know, this location, contact me. So I contacted her. I had lost my job through that breakup, you know. I didn't have any money, I didn't have anything. I was like, okay, Heather, you got to rebuild your life. You got to put everything, you got to put the pieces back together, you know. So mine was to get a job and move away and kind of just, you know, forget about everything. I went to the interview and I was hired on the spot. you know, praise God. You know, it was a new company. They weren't open yet. They were still under construction. So there were still some, like, I wasn't gonna start right away, you know, it was still kind of a few weeks. So I said, okay, that's fine, you know. So anyways, the time passes and it comes time to go to work. So I go to work and I'm so excited because I'm like, man, you know, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna make my money. I'm gonna leave. And little did I know the guy was like, no, you're not. But yeah, so I go and, you know, I really liked it. It was a really great job. So then I guess there was still a position that needed to be filled. That position was a dishwasher position. It wasn't filled yet. There was a coworker there. I guess she knew somebody that could, you know, that needed a job because he had just hit her up for a job, and so she recommended him, and he came in the next day, and it was Jose. And I remember, I'll never forget it, I was like cleaning out some spices on a spice rack, and he's like walking behind me, and I literally like did a whole 360 with my head trying to look at him because I was like, oh my goodness, this guy is just too cute. But I don't even think he didn't really even notice me at that moment. But yeah, so anyways, you know, he did his interview, and he did his interview and he left. He got hired and he came to work, and, you know, nobody introduced us. I was like, what is this? You know, so I took it upon myself to go and introduce myself to him. And yeah, so fast forward some days, you know, his ride ended up falling through. He needed a ride, and so I was like, okay, well, let's ask him if he, you know, if he needs a ride, I'll give him a ride. I don't mind. So I asked him. He declined it at first. He didn't really want to accept it, but then he did. Started picking him up for work, and he started talking to me about God. And I was like, I don't want to hear this. Like, I did not want to hear anything he had to say. He told me his testimony, and, you know, not all of it, because we barely knew each other, but he told me parts of it. And you know, he would minister to me, and I would turn so red because I did not want to hear what he had to say. I did not want to hear anything about God. I did not want to hear anything about church. I didn't want to hear anything about that. And he still kept talking, and I could not tell him to be quiet because a part of me was so intrigued. It was really like I felt it on the inside. I felt this burning inside of me. And I remember one day I'm dropping him off, and he tells me, he says, you know, he starts ministering to me and speaking to me about areas of my life that, you know, he knew nothing about. And I was just blown away, like, what is this, you know? And he tells me, he says, you can be free from all of that. You know, all you have to do is just accept Jesus into your heart, and, you know, you'd be a new creation, and all is forgiven, and the old is gone. And, you know, and I did, and I recited the sinner's prayer with him, and I started crying, and I was crying tears of joy because I truly felt, you know, the change. I felt such a joy come over my life in that moment. You know, he invited me to church, and I went, and I remember I was going inside, and I'm standing outside, and a man walks out, and he tells me, he's like, oh, God bless you. And I was like, oh, hi. Because yeah, I wasn't telling nobody God bless you at that time. And he was like, are you here for service? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, well, just walk right in. And I was like, that's all I have to do is just walk in? He's like, yep. He's like, everyone's welcome. And that, little did I know that that was the pastor of the church. But yeah, I walked right in. And at the time, this was Gates to Zion that I had went to, and the pastor outside was Pastor Moreno. And I walked in, and I sat down and worship was on and they were singing and I started bawling, and I didn't know why, but I was just crying, and I couldn't stop the tears. And before service actually began, the pastor called me up to the front and he prophesied to me, and the Lord used him to tell me, you know, these amazing things, basically, of this amazing journey that I was about to embark on with the Lord. And I remember there was somebody standing behind me. She said, "Are you ready to allow Jesus into your life wholeheartedly?" And I said yes, and she hugged me, and yeah, I had, you know, I started going to church, and I started changing, and my old attributes, you know, they were slowly going away. In that moment in church, when I was standing there, I felt everything, every hurt, every rejection, every pain, every loneliness, every emptiness, everything that I had ever been angry about. I literally felt it just all wash away from me. And it was one of the most amazing feelings in my entire life. And I'll never forget how I felt in that moment. You know, I can only give God the glory for using my husband to lead me to Christ, and, you know, to take me to a church where I was built up. And, you know, I'll always be grateful for that, and I'll always be thankful for that. My walk with the Lord has not been an easy one, but it's all worth it. So I'm just gonna go in with the Wet n Wild Coverall Primer, and then I'm gonna use my e.l.f. foundation. You know, I remember when I first got saved, you know, I had little faith. I barely knew what faith was. And I would have conversations with my husband because I had like so many bills due and I was in debt. And I remember telling him, and we still joke about this to this day, you know, like, how is God gonna pay my bills? And, you know, he would just look at me in the most calm manner, and you just have to believe. And I would just want to, like, oh my goodness, no, like, how? And it's true, you know, you really just do have to believe. It's about having faith. To see how far my faith has come, you know, in a little over 3 years, it's amazing. And I give God all the glory, you know. And I just get thinking of back then, you know, how I was and the process that I had to go through. And it wasn't easy, you know, but like I said, as long as you're willing, there isn't anything that God can't do through you and with you. You know, anything that you're struggling with, anything that, you know, that you're going through, anything. I mean, God is always there with his arms wide open. It sure did take me a while. I just truly thank God for giving me the opportunity to be able to worship him and praise him, because that is just such an honor and such a blessing. And to serve the Lord with my husband and to raise our kids in the Lord, it truly is a blessing. Yeah, so shortly after I got saved, I continued to go to church. I gave my life to Christ in April of 2014. And then the next month, Jose and I started dating officially. We weren't dating that whole time. We were just friends. And I think that's what made our relationship stronger, is that we created a friendship first. And, you know, as cliche as it sounds, as cliche as people will be, oh, we gotta be friends first and this and that. No, it really makes a difference. Yeah, so then we started dating in May, and then he proposed to me in November of that year. And in Thanksgiving in his family's house. Oh, it was so beautiful. I was not expecting it at all. You know, he just got down on one knee and proposed to me in front of his whole family on Thanksgiving, and it was just amazing. So I'm just gonna take my Tarte Shape Tape and put that on the inner part of my eye. And then I'll go in with my Maybelline Better Skin for the rest of my eye. Under eye, actually. Just put a few dots because this stuff is heavy duty. So then he proposed to me in November of 2014, and we set the date for June of 2015, and we got married in June, and our wedding was the most perfect day ever. I'm so sorry if I can't blend this concealer and talk at the same time. So yeah, so our wedding was perfect. You know, we got married under God, in front of our friends and our family, and it was just amazing. It was truly, truly a day that we'll always cherish and we'll never forget. We're forever grateful to have experienced such a beautiful wedding. After we got married in June of 2015. In December I found out I was pregnant, and yeah, that's where we have our beautiful son. He was born in August. His birthday is actually the 11th. Mine is the 14th, so I got a little birthday present from God for him. Yeah, that's, you know, it's our little family. I'm truly blessed. You know, I may not have everything that I want. I may not be, you know, where I want to be, but I know that I'm exactly where God wants me to be, and there's a work that He's doing in my life, and I'm just gonna let Him, you know, I'm just gonna be open and willing. And it's really hard for me because, you know, I'm an introvert, and it's hard for me to put myself out there and, you know, to open my mouth and to speak. And but that's a big reason why I wanted to, you know, start this YouTube channel, because it's an outlet that allows me to be active in talking. And I mean, I'm talking about things that I love, you know. I talk about God, I talk about my family, I love makeup. You know, I don't tell my testimony, you know, for my glory. You know, we all have a testimony, we all have a story, and it's not for us, you know, it's always for someone else. You know, you go through things and you sit there and you wonder why, and it's because someone else is gonna need encouragement. It's, you know, and just let God use you and let Him, you know, let Him work in your life. Like I said, as long as you're willing, there isn't anything that He won't be able to do, you know, in your life. And you just gotta be willing, and you gotta trust Him wholeheartedly, and know that no matter what you go through, no matter what you're faced with, God is always faithful. He is always faithful. And if y'all ever have any, you know, prayer petitions or anything that you want me to pray for you guys about, just leave them in the comments below, and I will do that. Or you can go follow me on Instagram and leave me a private message, and, you know, I will read them and I will pray for you. And then we can give praise report, you know, and just give God glory. And so right now I'm just gonna go into my contour palette by IBY Beauty. I absolutely love this contour palette. I'm just gonna take the lightest shade and just contour my face with that. It's truly been a blessing to be able to serve the Lord and follow Christ and truly try to live a life as Christ would. And it's not always easy, you know. For sure it's not always easy, because we're human and we have real human emotion. But when you lose yourself, meaning your flesh, and you gain Christ and you accept Him into your heart and you allow the Holy Spirit to work in you, that is greater than any loss. And it's never too late. And don't think that, you know, oh, there's things that you've done in your life and, you know, God will never forgive you. And He's already forgiven you. He's already forgiven you, and He's just waiting for you to just run to Him, and He'll begin the work in you. and you'll see that there is nothing greater than the joy of the Lord. There's nothing greater than the peace of God. So I just put blush. I used my e.l.f. light blush palette. So I'm just gonna take my Smashbox and Casey Holmes highlighting palette and take the shade right here and pop that onto my face. Okay, so I just put on mascara and I'm just gonna go on with the ColourPop Ultra Matte Lip in the shade Monday. I wiped off my lips to make sure there was no product on them. I found that the way to apply the Ultra Mattes and to have them last a little bit longer without kind of cracking so much and really being dry, because this is a really dry formula, is to kind of exfoliate your lips and then make sure you wipe them completely before you're about to apply this product, and don't after you apply it. Kind of just let it sit and dry. So I'm just gonna pop this on and then I will be right back. I just applied the lippy and it applied really nicely. I really love it. I love it paired with the eyes. So I'm just gonna take my Pixie Glow Mist and set my face with this spray. Okay, so that completes this look, you guys. Thank you so much for sitting down and chatting with me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Remember that God is always there for you, and He always has His arms wide open for you, and He always loves you. God truly, truly loves you. If you have any prayer requests, please leave them in the comments below, and I will make sure to get to them. And thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel if you're not already. God bless y'all today and always, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye.